If you're watching this right now, it's surely not an accident, even though hearing this may shock you. Your faith, patience, and self-worth have all been put to the test during your unending tribulations, and God wants you to know that you have overcome each one with flying colors. You can be sure you're prepared for the full effect of this revelation if you watch for at least 13 minutes. To let the world know that you're open, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Then, be prepared for the next post. Your own natural tone. Doing so will bring about quick, noticeable advantages and usher in a new phase of change. Chapter 1. Silence is the ultimate test. You have faced invisible forces, times when rejections, disappointments, or the oppressive feeling that life will never get better have made you feel heavy. You often carried these responsibilities in silence, unsure if anybody would comprehend the depth of her suffering. But you persisted because, as a chosen one, you sensed the greater purpose. Behind the setbacks, even when despair bit your heels, you wondered, is there any meaning to this pain? In retrospect, each adversity seemed less like a random misfortune and more like a precise test. God was gauging your capacity to maintain your faith when reason told you to give up and to remain steadfast and loving in the face of adversity. It's now evident that every grief or betrayal was an evaluation of your resilience. You were developing an inner musculature that no everyday struggle could overcome. At the time, you might not have seen it as a test and just believed you were unlucky. God observed the subtleties, even though your friends and relatives may have dismissed your difficulties as the result of poor decisions or life's inevitable course. Heaven observed as you resolved ethical dilemmas, respected your moral principles, and showed compassion for those who suffered. Because you didn't cut corners, you flew above basic survival and stood out in a world that frequently favors quick fixes over depth. You rarely took shortcuts or compromised your soul to escape the heat of adversity. You gained greater empathy, humility that turns pride into purpose, and tenacity that surpasses transient drives. It seems as though you were given an exam without any study materials or cheat sheets, yet you managed to find the answers in your soul's library. The library is now available for use whenever you encounter a new obstacle. The quiet during which she completed these exams wasn't an indication that heaven had forgotten you, but rather a deliberate hush imposed, you to demonstrate your affection without outside approval or meddling. God often gives the most difficult problems to those who are selected because he trusts them to provide a meaningful response, which you did. You're standing on the opposite side today, with a perfect score on your spirit board. Your soul shines with a silent triumph that cannot be fate, even though you may feel bruised. Keep in mind that you never gave up, which is why your passing grade is so significant. Now that the world keeps turning, you don't wonder if your hardships were worthwhile because they made you stronger and more resilient to delusions and shallow criticism. If you feel like a new opportunity or recognition is approaching, it's not a coincidence. Rather, it's your confirmation that you passed the most difficult test of your life. Chapter 2. The spiritual world was rocked by your tenacity. The typical individual lives their life without facing their full potential. They may compromise their morals or fall into a pattern of indifference. Yet when confronted with a plethora of you, responded to adversity differently. Rather than stumbling, you learned to adapt, gain strength, and flourish. This strategy attracted the attention of both divine and dark powers as it resonated through spiritual dimensions. Heaven observed your steadfastness and was astounded that negativity couldn't destroy your spirit. Your tenacity upended the status quo, and unseen reals, negative forces that feed on hopelessness or pessimism, were unable to seize a firm hold on your soul. They teased and prodded in the hopes that he would lose it and lash out, but each time you managed to find a way to anchor yourself in trust. That unwavering faith upended the traditional patterns of defeat, like flashing a brilliant spotlight into normally dark corners. Because you don't give in to fear, the universe has taken notice. Any spiritual watchers who were responsible for assessing your journey also respected this disruption. Similar to exam proctors, they documented every time you rose above blame, refused retaliation, or kept hope afloat in the face of grief. Your responses repeatedly demonstrated that you have a unique resiliency. This is about your willingness to maintain your trust, even in the face of a storm, not about moral perfection. This kind of trust is the pinnacle of defiance against gloom. Through your tale, God's chosen ones will set new standards, letting others know what is possible when faith and perseverance come together. Whether you openly discuss your struggles or not, people see that one person, who is certain of a greater promise, can outlast a torrent of negativity. Your energy alone emits an example, shattering pessimism. With those you come into contact with subtly, you are a lighthouse that guides people toward hope. That is how mass awakenings are sparked by the spiritual realm using your tested spirit. You may ask yourself, why do I feel an extra intensity right now? As you notice this change, because passing these exams opens additional challenges the world has planned for you, in addition to being a personal milestone. You are prepared for higher-level assignments by supernatural sources, such as encouraging languishing and doubtful masses, leading communities, or developing innovative solutions. You were eligible for challenging spiritual assignments that call for steadfast tenacity because of your resilience. It's understandable that you experience a mixture of excitement and serious responsibility, but don't worry. The same fortitude that brought you thus far guarantees that you'll manage more senior jobs with grace. Your quiet assurance is your cosmic ID badge, which gives you access to realms of influence where your mere presence can tip the scales in favor of light and truth. You are no longer the gullible soul that faltered at every hardship. Instead, you now carry a stance that declares, I have seen darkness, and I'm still standing. In Chapter 3, you are acknowledged as a pillar by others. Even though you may not have sought attention, people can't help but notice your tenacity. News spreads subtly through friends talking about your amazing recovery, co-workers observing how composed you are under pressure, and relatives remembering your unwavering generosity in spite of personal hardships. A part of you may be bashful around attention, but it's becoming evident that your test results, your character demonstrated in the face of hardship, are making people like you. Gradually, you've established a reputation as a rock, a steady anchor in tumultuous times. You notice small changes in day-to-day encounters. Maybe neighbors confide in you in times of trouble, or co-workers look to you for advice. Your counsel is invaluable to them, but you don't feel significant. You just react with compassion and insight drawn from your own heartbreaks. In a society full of superficial advice, your groundedness is invaluable. They detect an authority that comes from actual survival of life's most difficult storms, rather than from a job title or loud assertions. God didn't give you a perfect score so you could become a perpetual caregiver, so you don't have to solve everyone's issues. It is your responsibility to draw attention to the possibilities, show them the way, but let them to go through it. Support them without taking on their burdens. Boundaries are nevertheless important, since even pillars must stand firm and not crumble under the weight of others' uncertainty. As the feeling that you are the go-to person grows, you may question if you can afford the loan. Yes, but only if self-care is practiced. Burnout occurs when you pour from an empty cup, as the very tests that helped you grow also taught you. Maintain your new role as a guiding influence by continuing your spiritual practices, such as prayer or introspective periods. You understand how to refuel when you're tired, keeping in mind that your body and mind are tools for your mission, not disposable resources. Your name soon spreads within circles you haven't met in person as a result of people recognizing you. They also tell their friends, you need to talk to them, their perspective is gold. For you, your calm or insightful contribution is just a result of your spiritual synergy with God, even though others may call it supernatural or unbelievable. You will have more opportunities to serve a larger audience the more you sincerely accept this trust. Remember that the 100% score is the anchor that keeps you going when you take this task. Your life's challenges serve as a reminder that your abilities are a result of divine empowerment rather than an invitation to conceit. Even though you work as a teacher, you maintain your humility as a student. This tension, leading while still learning, keeps you flexible in God's hands. People find it disarming when they sense your humility, which makes them pay attention to what you have to say. As a result, your influence develops naturally, based on genuineness rather than forced marketing. Chapter 4. New realms are unlocked by your confidence. Imagine stepping into a room full of successful people that you once felt unworthy of, such as a high-level meeting, a creative pitch session, or a social circle. Now, something inside of you stands higher. You're not shrinking to fit in or shaking at the thought of rejection. Rather, you approach with a composed belief that your thoughts and voice are important. That's the significant change that occurs when God affirms your readiness. You feel a spiritual license to venture into previously uncharted territory and an internal badge of approval. This new stride isn't driven by conceit, but a calm faith in your own value. You remember how you braved storms, conquered obstacles both inside and outside of yourself, and remained resilient under duress. So why should you be afraid of any surroundings now? You now understand that these new rounds, whether they be intellectual, social, or financial, aren't necessarily closed to you. They only seemed that way since your previous way of thinking lacked the courage to take the initiative. When you carry yourself with unflinching confidence, doors may suddenly open just because you dare to knock. Even gatekeepers will stop to think about why you are there. They may test your depth and ask you questions, but your sincerity will not waver. Every question simply serves to emphasize how competent you are, and since heaven says you're ready, you won't give in to second guessing. Rather, you enjoy the opportunity to express your truths or show off your abilities to enter these new domains. You may experience waves of possible imposter syndrome after an initial surge of exhilaration. This can cause old thoughts about your limitations to resurface. Remind yourself of the divine exam you passed every time doubt creeps in. That perfect grade means you're not stumbling and uninvited. You're going in accordance with God's larger plan for your life. This is normal, a vestige of the old identity that can't die instantaneously. Remind yourself that your presence in any location is approved by higher authority, not just your personal whim, whenever self-doubt threatens to undermine you. As you become accustomed to these updated settings, be ready for partnerships that create synergy you never thought of. Perhaps you need a partner whose projects align with your purpose, or a mentor with the precise knowledge you require. Some of these connections may seem random, such as running into someone at a cafe who overhears you discussing a concept. But you know that these kinds of coincidences typically point to divine orchestration, as if the universe is arranging your path to bring you together with the right people at the right moment. However, humility is important. Being confident is one thing, but remaining teachable is quite another. Recognizing that you're a student keeps your viewpoint current, and every new round has its own learning curve. Leaders who aren't afraid to ask questions or acknowledge that they don't know everything are respected by their followers and build stronger relationships. Combining audacity with a readiness to change makes you a force that not only breaks into new fields, but also leaves a lasting mark of advancement and grace. Chapter 5. Setting the stage for further impact. Every action you do now has an impact on more people, including friends, followers, and even complete strangers who pay attention, observe your progress, and change their perspectives on what is feasible. Your experience radiates and ripples even if you didn't want to become an influencer. You can't always keep track of it. Others observe how you handle achievement, how you deal with criticism, and how you manage personal challenges. Whether you realize it or not, every decision you make affects how people view faith, bravery, and resiliency. You carefully adjust your life because you feel the weight of this influence. You keep an eye on your emotional and spiritual well-being, as well as your circle of trust. Procrastination, overindulgence, and negative self-talk are examples of old habits that can accompany you into the bigger stage. You break them to keep your mental clarity clear. By taking a judicious approach to relationships, media consumption, and everyday routines, you can keep your flame burning hot and prevent illusions from clouding your perspective. Calibration also entails examining your motivations. As the influence increases, there is a chance that you may become overconfident or succumb to the pressure to win praise. However, keep in mind that your true purpose is God's calling, not public flattery. If you feel your ego rising, take a step back and refocus your goals. For example, what is my ultimate goal here? To show off my accomplishments or to inspire others with my anointed gifts? You may protect your heart from deceptions that might undermine your newly discovered influence by maintaining your spiritual humility. Concurrently, your calibration may entail developing practical skills. If you're going to present, you hone your speaking. If you're starting, streamline your approach using a product or service. Making sure you carefully steward your benefits is more important than striving for perfection. Because you have demonstrated your liability in minor tests, the universe has decided to invest in you. Now, when you take on more challenging jobs, your Taurus shows appreciation for the confidence you have been given throughout this phase of improvement, and you also grow more empathetic. You realize that a lot of people want the same breakthroughs you're having, but don't have the blueprint. By providing them with sincere advice, or even just plain support, you become a beacon of hope for them. This empathy is the foundation of your calibration, serving as a reminder that being selected is more about the good of the group than it is about individual glory. Every action you perform serves as an example, so you continue with calm resolve, knowing that people are watching you and drawing hope from your experience. Calibration is essentially a daily rhythm, a dedication to being the finest version of oneself for the greater good. You realize that I hold the potential to change not just your own life, but also environments every morning when you wake up. By taking care of your energy, motivations, and skill set, you continue to be a great vessel for the destiny that beckons, and with every adjustment, you lock into the fact that you pass the final divine exam. This acceptance drives every decision you make and pushes you toward continuous integrity. Therefore, it makes sense that the universe would provide you more circles of influence. Chapter 6. Your bravery shocks your old critics. Not everyone is ecstatic about your unexpected surge. Since God has marked you as ready, some people who saw your hardships quietly found solace in the belief that you will always remain under them. Their complacency is shaken by the change in your aura. Maybe you remember certain people who minimized your ambitions or took advantage of your fears. They see from the sidelines as the underdog abruptly changes into a powerful figure, someone who is no longer timid or different. This shock shows how resilient you are. They notice your newfound self-assurance and know they can still use the same old strategies to control you. Every move you make changes the old dynamic, leaving them unsure of how to approach. Some may express their astonishment with subtle jabs and praises, while others remain completely silent because they are too scared to re-engage. In any case, your transformation leaves them stunned, partially in awe and partly incredulous. God's elevation of you is sufficient evidence that their attempts to suppress you were never successful, so you don't need to taunt or seek retribution. Instead, you transform your life into a living example of what unwavering faith and perseverance can accomplish just by existing in your empowered state. You give a silent sermon. You tried to break me, but God had other plans. Even if they never express their regret or bewilderment out loud, you can tell by their awkward silences or forced friendliness. Forgiveness can thrive in this situation, since those who are chosen don't harbor burdensome grudges. Yes, you remember the suffering, but you give it to a higher power, and by letting go of your resentment, you also prevent negativity from regaining any ground in your life. God makes sure that every tear you shed was invested and not wasted, and that it is now producing benefits that are beyond comprehension. Your success now terrifies those who formerly opposed you, which is poetic justice enough. Some critics may shyly try to return when word of your success spreads, offering peace or catching up. Be cautious when doing so. Genuine regret is possible, but you don't have to give them your trust right away. Follow your gut when deciding whether to give them another chance or maintain a friendly distance. You now make decisions based on what promotes your highest good and is in line with divine flow rather than fearing their reactions, which gives you the clarity. Thus, when your bravery spreads, it causes tremors in the networks where you used to feel insignificant, and those in positions of authority suddenly rush to catch up. But you're just standing tall in your sincerity. You're not boasting. The doubters receive a powerful lesson from this reaffirmation. True empowerment, blessed by heaven, is far beyond their control or diminishment. By doing this, you reaffirm that the universe invests in those who invest in themselves and keep faith alive against all odds. Even in Chapter 7, you enter an unchangeable destiny. You realize in your gut that the time has come and that everything you've gone through has been planned for this crucial moment. Your entire journey, every tragedy, test, and subtle sign has brought you to this point where your destiny begins to take shape. You move from preparation to full-scale activation in M days, entering a season where all of your developed skills will be put to even greater use. You stand primed for the next chapter, which dwarfs every accomplishment you once thought was noteworthy after taking Ace God's exam. Don't worry though, the promise isn't just some abstract vision. It's a concrete reality that will soon materialize, bringing about real breakthroughs in your career, relationships, or spiritual endeavors that seemed forever out of reach. You may soon wake up to a surprise phone call, either eagerly anticipated communication or an in-person encounter that encapsulates the importance of your preparation. The world is arranging a turn so significant that it reconfigures your life's entire blueprint. No more taking shortcuts or waiting for approval from others. Alternatively, a sudden rush of revelation may sweep through your consciousness, giving you quick clarity on your next daring step. As you walk into your destiny, the calling that has been nagging at your heart takes center stage, approved by the highest authority with a flawless divine score. You'll notice a change in your internal stance, where you once craved approval from others. Your actual compass is now the voice of God. You move forward quietly, knowing that your assignment originates from a heavenly script rather than from human expectations, even if critics doubt or disparage your trajectory. The more strongly you believe, the more the universe works in your favor, turning what had appeared to be a convoluted detour into clear-cut, straight lines. Have faith that every jigsaw piece is arranged in perfect harmony by an unseen intelligence, making sure that nothing is missed, delayed, or misplaced. You experience a sort of joy in this new dimension that is unaffected by transient setbacks. Adversity may still come your way, but it will feel like a test you've previously passed countless times. Without question, you focus your energies on worthwhile, concrete endeavors, whether it be creating novel solutions or forming partnerships with like-minded visionaries. Every morning is greeted with a sense of mission, an electric excitement that resonates with the awareness that you're carrying out your precise role in a vast cosmic production. Whether you're producing motivational content that inspires others to feel the same sense of purpose. Indeed, for those who are marked by destiny, the path never ends. You never graduate from progress, but you proceed with the serene assurance of a victor who has previously faced failure and come out stronger. This self-awareness gives every choice a stronger feeling of direction. Every decision you make, no matter how big or small, adds layers of insight, color, and influence to the fabric of your unfolding destiny. You already know that you are worthy, but every day offers a chance to demonstrate that worthiness by taking consistent, motivated action. Thus, welcome the new season with all of your heart. Stop limiting yourself, stop doubting your abilities, and most of all, stop underestimating the extent of what God can do through you. Your success on the divine exam was never just about individual perseverance. It was a confirmation that you are a conduit for boundless potential, as you were dependable in modest duties. The universe now gives you much more responsibility, knowing that your unflinching spirit will see it through to completion. Enter that stage with assurance, allow your gifts flow freely, and see how each day becomes proof of what happens when heaven says you're ready.